Is free birth safe? Is it a legitimate choice?
A decision to free birth is a decision to step out of mainstream maternity care and take full responsibility over that.
This series sets out to examine free birth and birth culture more broadly, at a moment when public discourse online and in the media has largely settled on a single narrative: that natural birth outside the medical system is unsafe, unsavoury, and difficult to justify. Some of that scrutiny is warranted, some of it may not withstand closer examination.
Childbirth is rarely a medical event.
This series is an attempt to determine which is which.
And these are the people that are sitting in judgment of the free birthers and the home birthers, and their house is such a mess.
Over the course of this investigation, you will hear from medical professionals, researchers, and women who have chosen to free birth.
I think that free birth is something that is here to stay. You're not going to talk women out of it. It's only going to grow.
In an effort to establish what the evidence actually shows about risk in birth. Why are women gravitating towards this option?
I think there's an element of ignorance there.
And where are there gaps in the information in regards to this way of birthing?
I think it's important that we regain those skills that have been co-opted and medicalized.
This series does not promise definitive conclusions. I am trusting you, the listener, to engage with the material with nuance and a critical eye, and to weigh the evidence for yourself. This is the Birth Series from Return to Wisdom, and I am your host, Kishia Tonyazzini.
Are we going to get cancelled?
Yes, probably.
We're going to get cancelled for this conversation.
I am ridiculously picky about what goes on my skin, and I have zero time for complicated routines. For years, I was reading ingredient labels, Googling things I couldn't pronounce, and still not trusting what I was buying. And then I found In Bloom, and honestly, these guys are legends. Pure plant-based skincare made in Byron Bay. No toxins, no fillers, no fuss. The kind of brand that actually cares about what they're putting in the bottle and on your body. If you're as picky as I am and don't have time to mess around, this is it. In Bloom are offering Return to Wisdom listeners a discount. Use my code Return to Wisdom Podcast at inbloom.com. That's INBLUEM.com. Link will be in the show notes. One of the most profound things I've ever done for myself, my body, and my marriage was Kim Anami's work. Kim is a holistic sex and relationship coach, and what she teaches goes far deeper than you might expect. Her courses are about coming home to your body, deeply reconnecting with your partner, and understanding that when that part of your life is truly alive and thriving, everything else rises with it. Your confidence, your energy, your presence. I experienced that firsthand and I watched it transform my world. I have done her work and I can honestly say every single one of her courses is worth your time. You'll find the link in the show notes, and by using it, you're also supporting the podcast. This is the kind of investment that pays for itself 1,000 times over. Ayana.
Oui.
Ayana, welcome.
Wait, are we starting now? Right
We're
now?
starting.
Okay,
This is it. We're rolling.
Wait a second.
We're recording.
Oh my God, okay,
Do you want
cool.
to take a breath? You need a moment. Welcome to my studio, everyone. I want to introduce you to Ayana.
Hey, Kashia.
Hi. I'm really excited actually for our chat today, and everyone listening should be too, because we are going to go into your wonderful birth stories, but with a twist, because we're recording post The Guardian articles being released and post a whole media slander campaign against birth workers and free birth mums and all of this like tumultuous ground that we find ourselves in. And I guess we live in an area where free birth is like the norm. So with all that, we get to discuss your birth choices and how you came to them and the births that ensued for that. So welcome.
Thank you.
How does that sound? Are you excited?
Sounds great.
Yeah, great. So I guess first things first, how was your birth with Tavi?
Yeah, so Tavi's birth, so 5.5 years ago, was tumultuous, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
It ended up being I honestly thought it was going to be a quick birth because when I went into labor, it was Thursday, very early morning, so around 1 a.m. And I had contraction that came straight away, really quick, really fast, and really close to each other. So I really thought it was going to be like a really quick labor. And I was like, holy shit, what's happening?
Yeah.
And it ended up being a 90-hour labor. So not really what I was expecting. It started okay, and I was really excited to go into labor, really excited to experience that birth for the first time. And he was posterior.
Mm-hmm.
I was 40 plus, like 3 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he was also a really big baby, which I didn't know. And I'm so small, so I was... When he actually was born, I was
What's
surprised.
big? Can everyone?
Well, 4 kilos.
4 kilos.
But
and
I'm tiny.
Yeah.
I'm really small. So I was, expecting like a 3-kilo baby, like the norm. But no. Anyway, second one was 4.2, so whatever.
Just make those big bubbers.
Yeah, why not?
It's a bit of a flex, I reckon.
Make big babies.
Yeah.
Make healthy babies.
Just T-shirts. We're selling T-shirts. Make big babies.
Make big babies. Super healthy.
Tiny women, big babies.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh. So really quickly before you go on.
Yeah.
What were your birth plans? Like, had you done research into that birth? Were you here? Were you surrounded by the kind of the birth culture that we live in? Did you know people giving birth? Those kind of things.
Yeah. So I wanted a home birth, and that was the plan. So we had a private midwife.
Yeah.
That was recommended by a few people around here.
Yep.
I never wanted to give birth at the hospital. It was like back in France, I always thought I would do that because it's the norm over there.
Well, yeah, a real quick, brief description of the birth culture in France is is home birth illegal? Free birth is definitely illegal.
Yeah, I actually don't really know. I know that to get a private midwife home birth in France is really difficult, and there is not that many.
Yeah.
And the norm is just to go to the hospital,
yeah,
not to the birth suite, So from what I always thought I would have a baby at the hospital, and then I came here, and then, after years of being here, I was like, oh, no, I definitely don't want that, and I just want a home birth. So was going for that. First day of labor was so the whole night I had close contractions, and I really thought it was going to be quick, as I was saying. And then the sun came up, and it just started to fizzle out. It was still going, but really slow. And then it started again at night, and I thought it was going to be born that night. And then same thing happened, super strong, super big contractions and very close to each other all nights. But then as soon as the sun came out, it stopped. And then the next night again. So I ended up doing 72 hours at home.
Yeah.
And it was not 72 hours of, contraction every 20 minutes or whatever. It was actually really, really strong. And I could barely sleep really even during the night. It was just really, really strong. And after 72 hours, I was honestly so exhausted that I decided to transfer.
Mm-hmm.
The midwife that I had, honestly, was on the edge of a burnout at the time. And yeah, I wasn't really impressed by her services, let's say.
Okay.
She wasn't really helping at all. My doula was helping way more. So it was, in a way, I was I actually didn't really realize straight away, but afterwards I was okay, that something wasn't right with her, because she was just, not doing what a midwife is supposed to do when you actually need help.
Yeah.
When you need support and someone who can actually help you, being okay, let's, move positions. Let's do something to actually help the baby move out, because he was posterior. He was probably a bit stuck. And instead of helping me do things, she was just on her phone.
Yeah. So really quickly, you mentioned you had a doula as well. Yeah. It's a very contentious topic. Why, if you had a home birth midwife, what was the reasoning behind also hiring a doula?
I guess for me, the doula was more just that friend kind of vibe who is just here supporting and helping with bringing you water when you need it, or, doing some pressure massages and things like that, and helping with Sam, because obviously he was our first baby also, so like birth wasn't something that we've experienced before. And so for him and for me, it was nice to have someone else who is there kind of as a friend more than a professional. And yeah, just being supportive, like for whatever we needed at the time.
And you found value in that service?
Yeah, it was really nice. It was really nice to have her with us.
Yeah,
it was
cool.
Rosie.
Oh my gosh. She's coming on.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
Of course,
I love
Rosie. What a legend.
Yeah, it was great to have her. Yeah.
Okay, very cool. All right.
Yeah.
And so you get to a point where you're feeling like the midwife is burnt out, and this is not uncommon. There are definitely not enough home birth midwives servicing the area for the demand in home birth.
Yeah.
And I think that's like Australia-wide too. So we've got midwives taking on way larger loads than what they should be.
Yeah.
And then did you make the call to transfer? Do you ever feel like your energy's tanking, foggy and tired all the time? Yeah, me too. Turns out that this could be low iron levels. Did you know 1 in 3 of us are iron deficient, and so many of the supplements out there are synthetic, they're harsh on your gut, and your body doesn't absorb them as well. What I love about Great Spirit is that their iron range is organic, it's made right here in Australia, and it's whole food based. So you're getting bioavailable minerals and nutrients. They've got thousands of happy customers, and honestly, the testimonials on their site are incredible. So if you want to check them out, you can head to greatspirit.com.au and use the code KASHIA20 to get 20% off your first order. Enjoy the energy boost.
Well, it's kind of like a bit vague, but at that time, I think I was just so exhausted. Also, it's hard to remember because I was so exhausted. But I remember being like, what can we do? And she said, well, we can transfer. And I was like, all my dreams of home birth crashing, and I was like feeling really sad, but I was also so tired. I actually need to sleep. And so what we ended up doing is transferring, and I was like, okay, let's do it. And then we arrived at Lismore, which was a bit of a tricky drive because it was 50 minutes away. And I was honestly so uncomfortable and still having really strong contraction. We went, I can't remember what time exactly, but I think we were in like 3 a.m. or something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So that drive at 3 a.m. was really hard.
Yeah.
And then we arrived and they gave me the epidural and I slept for like 7 hours, which was obviously like not at all what I wanted. Yeah. Like I was so sad to be doing that. Yeah. But at the same time, I knew that I was just too exhausted to keep going. So epidural, slept for 6 or 7 hours. And then when I woke up, I was fully dilated. So they were like, yeah, you can start pushing. I was like, cool, okay, I'm going to try to push. But my body wasn't really doing anything right now. You know, I was just like there, and I had no feeling, obviously, but also like I didn't feel any urge to push or anything. Yeah. So they were like, push, 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 keep pushing, and like doing all the things, you know, like breathing and all that. Yeah. And I think after maybe an hour and a half of trying to push something that wasn't coming out, so I was with the midwives only at the time, the hospital midwives, and they were really lovely. First, I have to come back to that and say it was actually a great experience arriving there, because we arrived in the middle of the night and all the lights were dimmed in the corridors and in the room, in the birth suites. There was a really big bath and there was like aromatherapy and like a slow music. So it was actually a great, like way better than I was expecting. I was expecting like, you know, bright lights and all that. And it wasn't.
Can I ask, was that your doula's influence, or that's just how the hospital sets it up?
No, I don't think that she did anything for that.
Oh, wow.
Because she actually didn't come with us because she had a baby at the time also, so she went back home.
Yes, of course.
But no, I think it was actually the hospital, how they were doing it. So I was actually really surprised in a really good way.
Yeah.
And the midwives are great. honestly. They were really lovely and really supportive, and like, I'm sorry, like, you didn't experience the home birth that you wanted, but it's going to be sweet and, really lovely. Kind of shifted a bit when they made me push for an hour and a half, and then the obs came, and it was a random guy on call, and he was an asshole. And actually, I have heard, I think since then, he's been like pushed away from that hospital because he was coming from Sydney on and off, from what I've heard, and he was just rough. Oh, man, he was rough. And he came like not even saying hi, like, how are you feeling, whatever. He just came, just so that, in like half an hour, we're going to have to do C-section if you don't push that baby out. And I was kind of like, whoa, what's going on? And he ended up manually turning Tavi because he was posterior. Yeah. And he was definitely stuck because obviously that was a horrible experience, having him putting his whole arm in my vagina and turning him. But that made him move, and that made him be unstuck, I guess. From that point, he was like, we have to go to theater, we have to do forceps. And by the way, when I do forceps, I do episiotomy at the same time. And I was kind of like, whoa, like, what the fuck? Yeah. What's going on? Yeah. So all the dreams crushed one after the other. And so we ended up being like, okay, let's just do it, because right now, like, I don't even know what to do anymore, to be honest. So we started going down on the bed to the theater, and then in the elevator, my body started pushing. And I was like, what the hell is going on? And I was in the elevator on the bed, bearing down, and they were like, no, you can't push. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, are you serious?
Yes, I can.
What the hell?
Can and will.
Oh my God, what's going on? Ended up like rushing me through the doors, putting more epidural in, and then I honestly can't remember what happened because I was so numbed. I even told Sam, I was like, just let me know when they start. He was like, they've already, like, they're inside, like, yeah. Yeah, so I couldn't feel anything, but they had like cut me, forceps ins, all the things, and he was out really quick. Yeah. So that was a really interesting experience. Not really what I was expecting for my birth. Yeah. To be honest, though, it was shit, but interesting enough, I never felt traumatized by it. Mm-hmm. Which is kind of like then leads to my other birth. But yeah, I never felt really traumatized by it fully.
I am really glad that you mentioned that in your transfer, the staff were treating you really well, and respectfully. Yeah. Because I think that's one fear that women often have that can hold you back from making that decision. Yeah. Because, I mean, obviously your obstetrician wasn't nice, but it's like the fear that all the staff are going to judge or you're going to be treated like, and women have had that experience. Yeah, I don't deny that for a moment, but it is good to hear that it's, there is the chance also that you're going to have a good experience and good staff and be treated with respect and dignity. So thank you for mentioning that. So did you feel that you needed to debrief that birth at all?
Look, I probably should have, but I didn't really. Like, we talked about it with Sam a bit. And obviously, so for me, it didn't stop here, because after we went back home, so we stayed the night there. He was born at like 4 p.m. So we stayed the night, and then we went back home the day after. And my episiotomy got infected and reopened. So I was in bed crying, thinking that I would never heal. And because it got infected, we ended up going back to hospital, get it restitched and cleared by the great obs, who was at Lismore David, which, I kind of regret not having him on call, but whatever. And so after that, we came back home, and he did say, he was like, the tissue is so raw, it might reopen again, just so you know. And it did. So I went back home, reopened again, And then I was in bed for 3 weeks, but not in like the nice postpartum bubble that I was expecting. I was just in pain and crying and numbing myself, watching like Netflix, because I was just like, I didn't want to think and feel that. So instead of having that experience of enjoying my baby, I was actually just fully like tapping out. Yeah, that was great.
That's big.
It was a big journey.
That's really big. And that's big too in this area.
Yeah.
Where there is a lot of like communal fear of the medical system.
Yeah.
And so when you have an experience like that, when you choose to have another baby, how did you feel going into that decision and then making your decisions around birth? And do you want to tell us about what you were experiencing in the time when you fell pregnant?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I always knew I would have another baby anyway. Like, there wasn't really an option, and the birth didn't traumatize me in a way that I thought I would never have another baby. So I was just kind of like, cool, I had a shit experience. I have a beautiful, healthy baby though. My experience wasn't great and was definitely not what I wanted, and I had to grieve that. But then it never made me, not want another baby. So
did it like stoke the fire a little bit of now I'm determined to have my home birth? Or were you like kind of still open to?
Yes, but also, I was like, if anything happens again and I have to go to hospital again, well, that's gonna, that's what will happen. But obviously, I was really hoping and really like sure that it was not gonna happen like that second time. So when we decided to have another baby, I actually had 2 miscarriages, which was an interesting experience again, because obviously I never thought I would have any miscarriage. Never really thought about that before. When we conceived Tavi, we actually don't even remember when we conceived him. He just kind of came like that. And we're like, cool, we're pregnant. Okay. So having a first miscarriage was a bit shocking. But then when I had a second one after, I was like really shocked too. Saying that, these 2 experiences were actually great for our relationship, because they both brought something very special and healed something very special. The first miscarriage that I had, Sam basically told me like, I don't feel vital. I don't feel like great. Can we not conceive this month? And I was like, let's just do it, and if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And then I got pregnant and then had the miscarriage. And I could feel that he wasn't really sad about it. And that made me really sad. And we talked about it. And he was like, you didn't really listen to me. You didn't listen to what I was saying and the fact that I wasn't feeling great and that we still conceived. And so I'm not feeling sad because I kind of, like, it makes sense for me. And so that kind of healed something in our relationship of like listening to each other and actually respecting what the other is feeling. And then the second miscarriage was actually like got the embryo of the second miscarriage. So I have a photo and it's like that. And it was amazing because you could see the eye and the heart and like the little tail. And so it was actually really special to see that. And we did a burying ceremony with Tavi and he was just so amazed,
Yeah. How many weeks were you?
So the first was 5.5 and the second 6, or the opposite, something like that. So really
at 6 you could.
Yeah.
That is insane.
I'll show you a photo. It's amazing.
I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, it's actually really cool.
Wow.
And so when I had the second one, I obviously was really sad and like frustrated and upset and like, why is this happening again? Like, am I broken and all that? But it healed something in me, and that was separate from my relationship with Sam. This one was like about me and about trusting. And I just fully surrendered. And then I actually got pregnant 2 weeks later, straight away. And I decided to not do a pregnancy test, which was kind of challenging because I knew I was pregnant, but I was like, but I haven't done a pregnancy test, so I don't actually know. And, I was 8 or 9 weeks. And I was like, maybe maybe I haven't bled because it's after a miscarriage and my body is recalibrating or whatever. But I was pregnant. And it was actually an amazing experience to not do a test and just trust and, feeling the nausea and all that. So knowing deeply that I was pregnant.
It's so, I've done it once,
Yeah.
like not taken a pregnancy test. It was for my 4th. We were trying to conceive. And so when I stopped getting my period, I was like, well, chances are.
Yeah.
Then I started feeling
Most
nauseous.
likely.
I'm like, chances are.
Yeah.
But it is a really strange experience because when you don't do a pregnancy test, like I had all these women around me who were pregnant and really excited about their babies and they knew I was trying. And I was like, I just haven't got my period yet. And they're like, but do we know that you're pregnant? I'm like, well, I just
know, but
guessing. They're like, but how will you know? I'm like, well, I guess my stomach will get bigger and I will feel sick because I have for all the other ones. Like, and then a baby will come out. Like, I swear it.
At some point, it will be obvious.
But they were all really upset because they couldn't like do that. You're like, because there's like this certainty about it.
Yeah.
It was a very interesting experience. And I would like totally recommend it.
I know,
for
it's
anyone going
cool.
down that.
It's cool to just trust. And I can't even remember at what point I was like, okay, I'm definitely pregnant. Like I probably had like 10 weeks or something. I was like, okay, well, clearly I'm feeling like really, really bad and like really sick and
my
all
stomach's
that.
bloated AF.
Yeah, definitely pregnant.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a really interesting experience. And that came from that second miscarriage of like trust, just trust.
Yeah.
Because and it's going to happen again. And funny enough, the day I conceived, I had a call with a psychic and she was like, oh, yeah, you'll get pregnant again, but in quite a long time. I literally conceived that same day. So I'm like, thanks,
Never
girl.
seeing you again.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for your help.
What a risk to your career, like to make calls like that.
Well, she did saw the miscarriages, even if I didn't say anything. So I was like, oh, pretty on point. And then when she said that, I was like, I don't believe you. Anyway, where are we up to next?
So you get to 10 weeks, you're feeling sick, you haven't taken a pregnancy test, but you're pretty sure you're pregnant.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so once you start like landing in that place of, okay, now what's next?
Yeah.
Where do you go?
So it was a bit of a journey because I was like, I'm going to free birth. So cool to free birth. I've got so many friends who free birth and who are going to free birth. And I feel like I'm really want to experience that.
Can I pick that apart a little bit? So friends as in your close circles, did you feel like online you were seeing a lot of free birth happening?
Yeah, for sure.
Were you being exposed to only positive stories or did you hear negative stories as well?
At the time, it was only positive.
Okay. And when you were exposed to more of the free birth community, how did that make you feel about your first birth?
Well, I guess it's interesting because, obviously I don't agree with the medical system fully, but at the same time, my experience there wasn't like a traumatizing, horrible experience. There was some part that were not great and that specific guy wasn't great, but the rest was actually good, and was actually like pretty respectful and gentle and lovely. So I was only hearing bashing on the medical system. And I like to find a balance point between both because, I understand that some women have really, really bad experiences. And I've got friends who had really bad experiences at the hospital. And then I also know of friends who had really bad experiences free birthing. And people in general. So it's, for me, it's all about coming back to the center and coming back to balance instead of picking like one or the other and hating on the other. I find that when you come to a point of balance, that's where you actually can hear yourself and hear what you need and what you want, really. And I feel like at the beginning of my pregnancy, I was really like, okay, I need to free birth. That's the thing to do, like if you don't free birth, you haven't experienced birth completely, all that kind of things that I've been hearing a lot. And I mean, there is a part of me that would love to free birth, because I feel like it's quite empowering. And at the same time, I do love having someone and like the support of someone who actually knows much more than I know. And I, obviously I want to learn about my body and how everything functions really well, but also I don't want to have to birth a baby and then pick up the placenta and make sure that everything is there and all that. I want to actually be with my baby and not have to do that. And I want my partner to be there and like enjoy being with baby also and not have to make sure that he's not fucking up. So I was, leaning full free birth at the beginning. And then a few things happened in the community where, a friend lost her babies during a free birth, which was not linked to the free birth itself. It was actually the condition for the babies, it was twins. But that freaked me out in a way. And that kind of made me realize that is free birthing what I want, even if the free birth wasn't linked to what happened to the babies, because her birth was actually amazing. It kind of shocked me a bit. And I was like, do I want no support at all? Because if anything happened, do I actually want someone here to be able to support and help in whatever way they can? And, I know everyone is like, yeah, but midwives bring all the oxygen and all the things and like bring fear into the space, but also some don't. And I found a beautiful midwife who was actually amazing and like just so lovely, fully respecting anything that I wanted, didn't push anything. During the birth, I was like, oh, where was she?
Can we really quickly, because in our area and a lot of people listening in are in our area, we have the home birthing program, which is with the hospital. Did you go with that or did you get a private?
No, I got a private midwife.
Okay.
I honestly, I didn't even thought really of going with the program just because I've heard of so many, and so many people had amazing birth with that. But I know that if there is anything, they can kick you out of the program really easy. And also because the midwives are on call, if the midwives that you've been having a relationship with is not on call that day when you're in labor, then it's another one. And I didn't really want that. I just, even if it's great because it's free and all that, I didn't want to take the risk. I just wanted to have someone that I knew and had a good relationship with. So I went with the private midwife.
Did you get a doula again?
No, I didn't this time. And it was honestly more like financial than anything else. I had a friend who was planning to come. But I didn't get a doula again at this time. So that first experience of my friends kind of made me rethink, and I was about 20 weeks at the time, I think, made me rethink completely what I wanted for the birth. And I started looking for a midwife. And then 5 days before I birthed Tama.
Yep. Wait.
Wait.
Before you go there.
Okay.
Once you found a midwife.
Yeah.
Were you required to do any tests, scans, any of those things that you may not have done if you had have free birthed?
No, like she offered me all the options, and I just said no. I just did a scan at 20 weeks, mostly because we wanted to find the gender for Tavi because he was dead set on having a sister, and it kind of felt like it was nice to know before the birth and tell him hey,
this
it's actually
a really
not a
traumatic
sister.
experience, and now you have a brother.
Oh my God, seriously! For 2 weeks he was upset because he found out he was going to have a brother, and for some reason he just really wanted a sister. I mean, he's really happy now. But it took him 2 weeks to adjust and be like, oh shit, we're not going to have a sister. It's not going to be a girl. It's going to be another boy. So I'm kind of happy that we knew that and that didn't happen just at the birth, put it back in. It's a boy. I don't want it. So
change that.
Yeah. So funny. He was so upset. He was screaming in the scan place. He was like, I said it's a girl. We're like, okay, cool.
Oh, awkward.
Yeah, that was so weird.
Can I tell you what I've been putting in my morning beverage every single day lately? Because I'm obsessed. I've been a Superfeast devotee for years now. Their range of medicinal mushrooms and tonic herbs is extraordinary, and I come back to different ones depending on what my body needs. Right now, my absolute go-to is tremella. Known as the beauty mushroom, it's been used for thousands of years as a deep hydration tonic. I stir it into my morning drink every day, and my skin has genuinely never been more plump and hydrated. Family-owned, Australian, pure extracts and nothing added. And they only sell what they take themselves. For me, that kind of integrity means everything. Return to Wisdom listeners get 10% off with my code Return to Wisdom at superfeast.com. That's superfeast.com. And the links will be in the show notes. So going back 5 days before your birth.
Yeah. So we did the scan. The pregnancy was great. And I was really happy having the midwife. And then, few days before the birth, another friend / person from the community lost her baby doing a free birth. And again, that was actually not related to the free birth, and the birth was actually great. So it wasn't the free birth itself. It was like the condition that the baby had. But that, obviously, hearing that a few days before you're going into labor was because at the time we didn't know what happened or whatever. And it was really challenging. Yeah. But it really reassured me in my choice also of having someone there just to support, whatever would unfold. And to be honest, for me, birth is, obviously I don't want to have 10 people around me, but I do feel like it's nice to have wise women who have been doing that work for a long time, who knows birth and who knows what she's doing. And to have her just fully supporting, but while being just away if I needed to. And so, should we go into the birth?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So,
well, what did that bring up for you, hearing that story 5 days before going into labor? You're heavily pregnant.
Yeah.
Did that bring up fears yourself?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, hearing that someone lost the baby at birth just before you're going to birth is without knowing what happened to the baby,
Yeah, because
now we know, but at the time we didn't know. And so it's really confronting, because obviously it can always be a thought in your mind, what if that happened to me? Yeah. And having that happen just before was it was very difficult. So Tuesday morning, I wake up. Actually, on the Monday evenings, Tuesday evening, I had a few contractions, and I was like, "Ooh, is it gonna happen tonight?" Exciting, because I could feel something happening. My best friend took Tavi for dinner with them and her son, who is Tavi's best friend. And so I was at home. I had all my candles, all my things, and I was like, "Great, an evening birth. That's gonna be so sweet." And then it just stopped. And I was like,
yes.
No, I've got everything ready. I've got the candles. I've got everything. We're not doing that again. But it wasn't
birth pool is warm. It's right now. We've got to go now.
But I mean, it wasn't, much contraction. It was just gentle. So I was like, okay. So it just stopped. It was only for 2 hours or something. And then it stopped, and I was like, cool. So my best friend actually came back with Tavi, and she slept at our house just in case it was happening in the middle of the night or whatever, and we needed help with Tavi. So she was kind of my doula. But nothing happened. And I woke up a few times, and I was like, nothing. So but through the night, I woke up and I was expecting, but then nothing. But I woke up at 5:30 a.m. and I was like, oh, okay, I can feel some tensions. And I was like, I really feel like making an apple crumble. So I woke up at 5:30 a.m. and I went to start making an apple crumble. And then I was cutting the apples, and I had to crouch down, and I was like, oh. I was like, cool. I was cutting my apples and just crouching down to half contractions that were actually becoming super strong really quick. And I was like, oh my God, okay. So about 6 a.m., I heard her, and she was like, you good? And I was like, yeah, I'm making a crumble. And she was like, cool. And put the crumble in the oven, and it was becoming really strong. And so she took Tavi out to take him back to her house for breakfast. And I was head down on the couch on all fours, just breathing through. And it was such a different labor than Tavi, because Tavi was posterior, so it was all in my back. And this one, he was perfectly positioned. So it was so different that I actually didn't know where I was in labor. because it's a different experience completely. And so I was like, it's really fucking strong. Like, am I close, or is it going to be the same bloody story of 4 days of intensity? And after a couple of hours, so it was probably, it was probably like 7 a.m. I told Sam, I was like, just call the midwife because this is really strong and I'm not sure what's happening, like where I'm at in labor. So he called the midwife. She was 45 minutes away, so she came. And she arrived and probably around 8. And she was like, okay, let's just, fill the pool and all that. So fill up the pool. I was still on the couch on all fours, just like, oh.
I can, when you make the noises, I feel my uterus contracting.
My God,
seriously. You feel my hips opening up as you make those noises.
It was intense.
Yeah, but everyone here who's had a baby knows exactly that's.
And it's like you forget about it, but you don't forget about it, but you do forget about it.
Oh yeah,
it's such a
until
weird
someone
feeling.
starts going. You're like, oh no, I remember.
oh yeah, that was the same.
There we go, got it.
And I was really trying to stay in like the low voice and stuff. So I was like, ooh. And at some stage I was like, I need to get in fucking pool. And they were like, cool, it's just ready. And it was, I think looking back at the time, it was like 8:55 or something. So, starting at like 5:30 and then 8:55. And I was like, I need to get in a fucking pool. And they were like, go in, it's ready. And I stand up, grab the pool, and I had like a bearing down contraction outside of the pool. And I was like, there is no fucking way I'm giving birth to that baby outside of the pool. So I still like crouched and I was like, oh, outside of the pool. And I was like, okay, when it stops, I jump in straight away. Jump in. And I remember saying, it's fucking heaven. And honestly, it was fucking heaven. Just having that warmth, oh my God, just changed everything. I was like, oh, I can just relax a bit. But he was born like 10 minutes later. And I was not expecting that at all. Yeah. So I was in the pool and I actually, oh man, when he started crowning, I literally thought I was going to split in all directions. I felt like my vagina was going to become a star. And I actually went really high pitch in my voice because I was freaking out. I was like, I'm going to become a star. Like everything's going to split everywhere. Because it was so, it felt like so thin. And it felt so, and because obviously with my first, I didn't feel that when they went in the forceps and stuff because I was numb. So it was the first time I actually felt that ring of fire in that moment of the head coming out. Yeah. And I was freaking out.
Did you get a chance to freak out for very long?
No. I freaked out and I was like, but then the head came out and I was like, holy fuck. The head just came out.
I'm giving birth right now.
What's happening? And then next contraction, body came out, shot out, and I grabbed him. And I was like, wow, it just happens obviously so quick. But I'm grabbing my baby and I'm putting my baby on my chest. And I was like, I just did it. I did it. And when that feeling because my first birth was so not me doing anything in the end, just being on my own, doing it all. And the midwife, I was like, where was she after? And she was just behind me, just checking, just looking. And I was like, oh my God, she's amazing. Yeah. She didn't interfere at all at any point. Didn't ask me to check me or anything, she was just just chill. So I had my baby on me and I was like, oh, just did it. And it was amazing. It was the best feeling ever. And the whole birth was from 5:30 to he was born at 9:14, so not even 4 hours. And then my midwife was like, are you hungry? And I was like, yeah, that crumble, that's warm still. I'd have some of that. So I had the crumble that I made 3 hours earlier in the pool. It was just amazing. Oh. It was so good. So very different birth.
I'm so impressed that you didn't burn the crumble while you were in labor cooking.
Why? I think they took it out.
Someone did.
Yeah.
That's the birth is impressive, but that was playing on my Virgo mind a little bit.
Yeah,
Like,
no.
Is that crumble going to burn?
No, I think Sam took it out at some point. He probably said like, the crumble is ready.
That just is perfect.
Oh man, that was so perfect having that crumble in the pool. That was like, honestly, dream birth.
Wonderful. Did you tear?
I didn't.
That is very cool.
And he was 4.2.
Yeah. And so bigger, very quick, and you had the scar. I mean, from what I remember, like scar tissue is more likely to tear
It
than
didn't.
not.
No.
And that would ease a lot of people's minds.
Yeah,
I think.
know. And I was actually surprised because when and there was not, when he was born, there was actually no blood at all in the pool. And then a bit came from like the placenta and like some little clots coming out. But yeah, when she checked me, she was like, oh, like you've got a tiny mini graze. And I was like, what? I was like, are you sure I'm not like fully split everywhere? Because that's how it felt.
Yeah.
And she was like, no.
That is so cool.
And I was so surprised.
Well done.
Yeah, thanks.
So what did that postpartum experience look like?
Oh man, it was the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Honestly, like that made me want to have another baby straight away. Almost. That's actually Tavi, oh my God. So I was just come out of the pool. The placenta took, I think, 40 minutes to come out, and I squatted on the bowl. But before I squatted on the bowl, Tavi was like, cool, now you can go my sister. And I was like, okay, just chill out for 1 second, please.
Let's just hold it a beat.
Yeah, let's just
a beat.
Take a breath. Eat the crumble, and then we can talk about it. Oh my God. Birth the placenta, and then honestly, it was because it was 9 a.m. It was so nice to actually have the day, and I've always thought, oh, I just really want like a night birth. You know, it's like all dark, and I've got the candles, and it's like so romantic and all that. And actually having that birth in the morning, early morning, was so nice because then we had the whole day to actually enjoy being together and like being with baby and not feeling like you just want to go to sleep and not being exhausted, you know, because I just had a night's sleep before and then birthed the baby, and then here we are just chilling with the sun is shining and like the birds are chirping, and it was just so nice. And so, yeah, we went on the bed. I had put a mattress downstairs. And, you know, funny enough, I had put that mattress downstairs. I was like, I'm probably going to, you know, have to sleep there for 2 weeks because I'm not going to be able to walk and stuff because of my experience of my previous birth. And then I was like, oh, I can actually just stand and, you know, move if I want to because I'm feeling great. Which obviously I still, like, you know, stayed in bed most of the time for a while, but just to rest. But, yeah, we just spent the day, you know, like Nat, our midwife, she showed the placenta to Tavi, and he was so interested. He was like, oh, yeah, okay. Just looking at everything. And she did say I had an amazing placenta. I was like, cool.
Flex.
Thank you. Great placenta, very healthy. Yeah, it was actually amazing to see the placenta because with my first, I didn't really see it. I saw it frozen because we asked them to freeze it. But like actually seeing my placenta and like dark red and like beautiful and like look like a tree, and I was like, wow, this is so cool. And yeah, just having her, you know, like helping us and just supporting us and being there, just like a mom, you know, basically almost. And Tavi just really enjoying being with her and reading books with her while I was with baby, trying to like breastfeed him and stuff. It was just so lovely.
I have a crunchy question for you.
Tell me everything.
Does it feel less empowering, and do you feel less of a human for not having a free birth?
Well, I mean, basically, you know, I did everything on my own. Like, she didn't interfere once. So she was there, and it was great to know that there was someone here to be able to help if we needed to, but we didn't need to. And so basically, like, you kind of say, I free birth my baby with a midwife in the space, you know, kind of.
Yeah. Well, I think so. I'm asking that question tongue in cheek because I feel like there is, or maybe not so much now, but in the time, because when you had Tama, was it a few months after I'd had Margot, like free birth was like, you know, really pumping.
Yeah.
And we were sharing a lot of free birth stories on our podcast and talking about birth, and like physiological birth and how, this is the best way to do it. And I do feel like there was like an undercurrent or like a tone to it all that kind of suggested some kind of hierarchy of birth. And whether that was intended or not, I remember hearing women who felt pressured to free birth. Like, or that their previous births were lesser than because it wasn't a free birth.
Yeah.
Like, it's like
I definitely felt that at the beginning of my pregnancy, which is why I wanted to free birth. I was like, yeah.
And so I asked that because I feel like this is something that needs to be dispelled.
Yeah.
and like, even for me, my first birth was in a hospital with an obstetrician and like 20 people in the room I didn't know and under bright lights. And I pushed my baby out and I pulled her up to my chest, and I've never felt more empowered in my life.
Yeah.
Like, it was an incredible birth.
Yeah.
Things happened that I wish hadn't have. But like, no one, I mean, there were a couple of people who were disrespectful, not during the birth, it was all after. And so I just like, when, having made a decision then to free birth, which kind of came incrementally, I found it strange when people were like, oh yeah, this is the best way to birth. Like, even though, it's like, oh yeah, cool, I did that. But like, also I don't want that to take away from the birth that made me a mum. Yeah. And actually I felt great after that. Yeah. And so, so I feel like, in the sharing of birth stories, it is cool to hear, or I think important for women to hear, that your birth choices won't make it lesser a birth.
And obviously, like, if I compare to my first, where I ended up having episiotomy, forceps, epidural, all the things, I do feel like, I almost feel like I didn't birth my baby, even if he came through my vagina. I almost feel like I didn't birth him because he was pulled out of me and I couldn't feel anything. That's the main thing, is that I couldn't feel anything. But, in the end, like, I'm happy he actually came through and not through a C-section, for example, Like, I had that experience, at least, even if it wasn't fully, like, felt. But that second birth, even if I had a midwife here, everything happens, like, she could have not been here, basically, and it would have been the same. But she was there, and it was great to have her after, especially to, like, help us and show us the placenta and, like, just have, like, chit-chat that was actually so lovely to have. Because I feel like there is that big thing of, like, oh, we just want to be like us and, like, no one else in our energy. And while I understand that, it's actually nice sometimes to have other people in your field, but as long as it's people that you trust and that you love and that you feel comfortable with, to just be there. And, it's funny because there is, like, a part of me that dreams of a birth where there is actually, like, all my best friends, There is something actually so special about this. And, when you think about birth, like, long time ago, it was a bit of an event. And, like, there was, like, many women gathering together for the birth, and it was a bit of a celebration too. So it's finding that balance, obviously, as long as the people in your space you feel comfortable with, I feel like it's great. And one of my best friends, she just had her third baby a couple of weeks ago, and she had obviously her husband. It was a free birth, but she had her 3 or 4 sisters-in-law and her mom in the space and her 2 kids and her husband. And it was just the best, like, communal experience for her. Yeah. It was just so beautiful for her to have everyone and just having that love, because it's people that she loves so much, So, yeah.
It actually brings up, and I'm pretty sure this will air after my conversation with Melanie, the midwife, but we were talking about the history of birth in that episode. And Melanie was like, well, in the history of humankind, there was always someone in the community that would attend the birth who had knowledge of birth. Like, it wasn't actually common for women to ever go by themselves. Now,
and their partner too, like their husband.
Yeah, so
like the man has
the
never
men
been
weren't involved at all. It was women's business, but yeah, like, I mean, and throughout my birthing career, can I say that?
25.
I feel like, I mean, for my 4th, I really wanted a birth party. I was like,
I love that.
yeah, I was like, oh my God, like my grandma was up. I had my
Yeah.
sisters and my mum. And I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
like I'd had 2 free births. I was like, yeah, sweet. And like everyone was
So
there and I
good.
had my 3 kids and the baby would not come. The baby would not come. I had my photographer, like we were all ready, and it was my longest labor.
That's crazy.
And I figured my body works actually a lot better when I'm like a cat and I just go into a dark place by myself and emerge with a baby. Like that's just how I function.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had a dream
Yeah.
or just
Well, I mean, it
an
doesn't mean
image
that
of
everyone is
this.
going to be just like looking at you when you're pushing out.
Yeah,
it
no,
can
of
be like people are
course.
in the space, but like in other rooms or whatever. And just
No, they
kind of
all had
like-
to get out. Like everyone had to
Yeah.
be out of the house.
Well,
like it was so, I was like,
that.
I'm like, you know what? Just go.
Get out. Go have breakfast and I'll call you.
Yeah, and it ended up being just me and Togga, and then our photographer was like Mimi, who legend,
I know her,
was sleeping in my daughter's room.
Oh my God. So
and nearly missed it because it was just like it happened really quick once everyone was gone.
yeah.
So it was a bit funny like that. But yeah, that being said, some women may fall into that category that I fall into, but I think the majority of women, like our birth imprints, are actually having support and care and a wise woman present at the very least.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking about that with free birth, where like there's a real encouragement to do it all by yourself, which when I hear that, given my experiences, I'm like, yeah, I agree. But then when you look at like the population at large, it's like, well, actually maybe that doesn't work for everyone. And then when you look at it, like, zoom out and look at the history of it, you're like, well, in the history of humans, it actually worked pretty damn good with people present. And if that's what you're comfortable with, that's probably what you're going to birth best
For sure.
with.
And once again, it doesn't mean that they're going to be like staring at you.
Yeah, exactly. Or like, sticking their hands in you 24/7.
Yeah.
You can, it's good to.
It's very different.
Yeah, it's good to have the knowledge around birth and maybe what the current climate is like within like the technocratic model of the medical system.
Yeah.
Versus the home birth system, but maybe even like knowing what your midwives are kind of, because of legalities, what they have to do versus getting a private midwife who is paid by you and still has their license that they have to think about. But, you've got that relationship and then, even getting doulas and birth workers to kind of help step in if you can't get a private midwife or if you need to birth in a hospital or whatever that is. So anyway, it's looking at all these options, it is really good to hear your birth stories and your experiences because, it's nice to see where people's mindsets are when they're taking all of this information into account and then making the decision around their birth to create a wonderful experience.
Yeah, and I do feel like, the pressure of doing one thing or the other, sometimes it's really strong and it's so important to like come back to your center and to yourself and to be like, okay, what do I actually feel comfortable with, what I actually want? Because sometimes it's like not what you want, but what you feel like you have to do. And come back to that middle ground, that balance of like, I don't have to be extreme one side or the other. I can actually just be in the middle and be like really nice with it. And, it feels really good.
I think maybe something that's worth mentioning too, since you are like an influencer now.
Oh my God, please.
I know you feel really comfortable with that title. But no, what is really interesting is the introduction of social media and how it is affecting women and their choices. And I think one thing that is really important to take into account when you are making these decisions is, are you seeing this on your feed constantly? And that is going to influence your decision like 100%.
And there is something that I really don't appreciate or I really don't agree with. And that's personal, but it's people being so strongly free birth is the only way and any other way is not the way and everyone can and should free birth and like trying to teach people to free birth. I feel like there is something quite wrong about this because it's a big experience and obviously things can happen. And telling people that's the way you should be doing it, and I'm going to teach you how to do it, and then you do it, and then something happen, and then no one is there to help, is like, it's not a great thing. And the thing is that, yes, some people go into it not. For example, I've got one of my good friends. She, like, for her, she free birthed both of her babies, and both her births were like really sweet and chill and easy. But for her, it has never been like a discussion. She's always just like, oh yeah, like that's what I'm doing. And it has never been, should I do it? Should I not doing? Why am I doing it? For her, it's just been like, it's like, it was natural. And so if that's the case for you, if free birth is natural and it just like, there is not even another option you could think of, that's great. And do it like that. Yeah. But if you are not sure, and then you getting in all those stories of like, I should because this, that's that, I feel like it's...
Yeah, if you have to be convinced to free birth, probably don't do it.
Yeah.
And I think that was a really good point that you made, because that's something that I've been looking into a lot, and over this series of podcast episodes, exploring a lot, because one, I really want to get rid of that stigma. Two, I think what we saw in a small population of women who were deciding to free birth but maybe weren't 100% informed in their decision, they were seeking advice like during their labours.
Yeah.
Did you end up listening to the Guardian podcast?
No, I haven't yet.
No, okay. Did you read the article?
I think I did maybe part of it.
Yeah, okay. So one of the things that really struck me and why I've been so affected by it is because when we were listening, like when we had personal stories within our community of like stillbirths and poor outcomes happening in free birth, it wasn't the birth part, right?
Yeah.
It was in both those scenarios, it had nothing to do with the birth.
Yeah.
Right? They were really simple, straightforward births.
Yeah.
So, when looking at that and contemplating on those in this area, it was like, okay, well, if we don't get those scans and we don't know that there's something wrong, like that would happen in a percentage of the population.
Yeah.
God, could I say that any more less sensitively? I don't know. Apologies. But yeah, unfortunately, it is like, if it is a numbers game, like statistically, it's bound to happen.
Yeah. And it has always happened in the past, so,
and within the medical, like it happens this is not just a free birth thing. Like babies have congenital issues that they don't survive in every area.
Like unexplained stillbirth or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think when listening to those stories and with the Guardian article, there were stories where these women were in labour for extended periods of time where multiple red flags were coming up, and they weren't listening to themselves. They were they were outwardly seeking advice from groups and forums during labour, and it's like, okay, that's where you need to start asking questions, and that's where it feels like, okay, there needs to be more of a conversation around this. There needs to be more information around this, because those women, if you have questions during your birth and you're like, oh, I'm gonna text my group, you don't want a free birth.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're not listening to yourself anymore. Like I feel like the whole point of free birth
also,
is that
who are
you're
you
listening
texting?
to yourself.
Who are you actually texting?
Exactly. Like who are you getting this information from? Like the whole point of it is that you're listening to your intuition. So when like something comes up and you're like, I don't know about that, and it's out of my scope, like I can't do anything about it, you go and seek advice. Like you have to go and outsource that.
Yeah.
And a group of women is probably who aren't there with you, who can't see what's happening, like probably isn't it? Like you need to go and find medical help kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that was something that really struck me with that. And And which is why I'm speaking to so many people who are in this space, like deep in this space. So, but yeah, I think amongst really beautiful birth stories, and maybe not such beautiful birth stories as well, but like just speaking to women like yourself to understand about like how birth choices are made and where we're going with that.
And I feel like there is something to talk about, like around, like, I've heard so many times midwives being slammed, and like all the midwives, even if they're private, like they're always doing like interventions, or they're always like trying to force you to do things, or they are always like that energy in your space that can shift everything. Yeah, but they can also not be, Yeah. There is many midwives, and obviously here where we are, it's great because we've got a lot of beautiful midwives, and it might not be the same everywhere, which I completely agree with. But there are those beautiful people and midwives who are actually, they are there to actually help you and actually be the best support. Yeah. And they don't want to force you. They don't want to intervene if they don't have to. Yeah. And so just slamming all the midwife and putting them all in the same basket doesn't feel right for me, because just like everything in life, there is extremes and there is a middle ground, and there is like people who are in balance and who are really grounded with themselves, and they actually are here to just support the best way they can for you as like the women and what you want. Yeah. And then obviously there is the other people who are going to force you to do things. And that's also your choice to go with the right people and find the people who are actually aligned with you and you feel really comfortable too.
I think something like interesting to point out there too is that I know some really like strong advocates in the free birth world, birth workers, doulas that are really like hard lines with free birth, especially like what they portray online, but will also work with incredible midwives and obstetricians, and they still like know of really amazing people in those areas. But like they might still say, it's so hard because online it's like to catch people's attention, to like make your point. It always has to be a hard line. But I think the people behind sharing those messages actually have a softer view of those things. Yeah. It's just like what you're taking in as the consumer of that.
Then if like none of that is shown and you just only get the hard part, and then it's like, well, that's the right thing to do. It's like just any, people who are sharing their life, and like you don't see the sad part of their life, you just see the happy part, and you feel like, oh, they're just like, they have got the best life and everything is perfect in their life. No, it's not. So it's the same. It's just like you have to really take everything with a grain of salt.
Yeah. No, it's really interesting. And I think, I had something to say there, but I think it's left the building. It might come back to me in the next few seconds. No. All right. Moving along. I do think that, oh no, that's what I was going to say. It came back. Okay. So there are so many women that I have even interviewed before, and I was like terrified to interview them because I'm like, oh my God, that's so hardcore. Like they're just so strong in their personality, and like, it's going to be like, I'm kind of a bit scared that they're going to like.
Can I ask that question?
Yeah. Like, is it a stupid question? Please don't hate me. I love you. But like, then I get on a call with them and they're just divine humans. Or you meet them in real life and you're like, oh, you're like really cool and normal. Yeah. Like we could be mates, And so I thought that was really interesting too, because I'm not like a big consumer of Instagram, but when I do research on someone, like Instagram is my kind of go-to for part of that. And I like, you flick through someone's tiles and they're just like, earn it. And you're like, oh my God, this is going to be intense. But then you have a conversation and it's like, hey, what's up? Like it's all, and you dig a little deeper into how they feel about things, and it's always so much more nuanced than that really harsh line. Yeah. So, I feel like that's a really great takeaway. Before we wrap up, Ayana, is there anything that you want to, any parting words that you want to?
Yeah, there is something that actually was talking about with a new friend who had a first birth like 4 months ago and was going for a free birth and ended up having a C-section. and who was sharing with me that she felt quite stressed and scared of having another baby. And I just wanted to say that it's not because you've had a first birth that was challenging and that had hard parts in it, hard outcome, things that you didn't want, that wasn't your dream birth or whatever, that you have to feel traumatized by it. And I feel like there is that thing of like everything is traumatizing, but everything that's hard doesn't have to be traumatizing. And I can only speak from my experience, obviously. I had a really difficult birth with Tavi. If you just like read like 90 hours, 72 hours transfer hospital, have epidural, episiotomy, forceps, episiotomy that reopen, get infected, come back to hospital, get it restitched, get it clear, all that. Like it feels really hectic. Yet I don't feel like I had put all my energy into feeling traumatized by it. And now and then I had another birth that, I didn't do heaps of work on my first birth, leading to my other birth. I actually didn't do any work. But I feel like because I was in a mindset where, it was a hard experience, but I didn't feel traumatized by it, and I didn't want to put myself into like that trauma birth story folder, file, whatever. Because of that, I felt like it was really easy for me to go into a different birth and have a very different experience. So that's one thing I want to say is that it's not because you had a first experience that was hard that you have to feel traumatized by it. Because some people might feel like, oh yeah, I had a traumatic birth, but actually was it? Or was it just like it was a hard birth and it wasn't what you wanted, but was it actually traumatizing or not? Yeah. And obviously trauma happens in birth a lot, and I know that. Yeah. But I feel like a lot of people actually didn't feel that traumatized, and they put themselves in that pile because that's what they hear. Yeah. And that's a lot because of social media too, It's like, you had a shit birth, it was traumatizing, and it had to be traumatizing. Yeah. So finding that that middle ground and that balance of like, it was difficult, but it wasn't also like massive trauma, and I can come out of that in a different way.
Yeah, I like that.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that with everyone.
Thanks.
Ayana, thanks for coming in.
Thank you so much.
Oh, really quickly, where people can find you, because you're like big dog influencer now.
Oh, no, I'm not.
and Ayana shares some incredible recipes and crafty stuff. She is a joy to follow if you want to just spice up your feed and algorithm with wholesome content.
Oh, cute.
Give her a follow.
Yeah.
What's your handle?
Ayana _Ryan_.
Oh my gosh, and we will put that in the show notes.
Yes, please.
Because everyone needs a little bit of Ayana in his life. I don't know.
Cute, babe.
Whoever's following and listening along could be anyone. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you, my love.
This is the birth series from Return to Wisdom. I'm going straight to the source, the women who free birth, the professionals who study real risk, to ask the question, what if free birth, done with eyes open, isn't the danger we've been told it is? I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If this has sparked something for you, I would really appreciate it if you would like, share, review. This is how we get the word out. The birth world, especially the natural and free birth world, has gone quiet, and these are the voices that need to be raised in this moment. I can't wait to explore this with you. See you next week.